I did my primary education in Adelaide Primary School, and then my junior school I went to Maboho Junior Secondary School in Palape, and then I was a boarding student for 2 years in Lozani Senior School. That's where I started joining the debate team. The debate team in Lozani was predominantly male. I think there was a team of like 12 students in the team. The teacher was also male. The students, male students, I think there were about 9 out of 11. So there was just two females there. So most of the time we weren't given a chance. Most of the debate students were Form 5 students, while I was a Form 4 student. So you know how when you find people in a school team, you have to like give them space and then they queue in, stuff like that. So most of them were Form 5 boys, and they didn't allow like female debaters to like maybe get the podium most of the time. So I think that thing pissed me off quite a lot, because from way back since primary school, I knew I was a debater because I was always communicating sufficiently and effectively with the school teachers. Sometimes I would speak on behalf of so many students, go to prize giving and so forth. So I've always knew there was something in me about speaking on behalf of people and advocating for certain motions, advocating for certain things in the society since I was very young. Even my siblings at home, my elder siblings used to like put issues through me so that I can be the one to tell the parents what we really want. Maybe we need a new phone, we need some upgraded DSTV subscription, stuff like that. So they started off by letting me know first so that I can speak on their behalf. So the debate team was predominantly male. I think I only went for my first tournament when I was doing Form 5. I spent an entire year training and not being selected for the debate training, the final team. So I think this thing made me very sad, because I knew I could speak. I knew I had the proper arguments and the sufficient arguments to do that, but I just couldn't make it into the team. And to me, it wasn't because I wasn't capable. I think it was just because people thought she's female and she's just a Form 4 student. She'll find time homework over Form 5. So that's how I started identifying myself as a feminist, because people think identifying yourself as a feminist, it starts when you are born as a woman, because being a feminist is fighting in the little corner of every woman and every young girl out there. So I started fighting in my own little corner when I was very young, from a very young age. I think I was 6 years or so, because we used to play with my siblings. I have 4 brothers. We used to play with my 4 brothers, and they would want to get all the toys. They would want to get all the good stuff. They would want to use up all the hot water in the geyser and leave me to bath with cold water. And that really made me sad. And for quite some time, I learned how to speak for myself. I learned how to advocate for myself and my sister, who was older than me, by the way, but she was always quiet. She didn't have that thing in her to speak for herself. So being a feminist really grew in me. At that time, I didn't know the word feminism. I think I only learned of the word when I was doing late Form 5. That's when I realized, oh, this is feminism. But I've been doing this for quite some time. Well, maybe I'm a feminist. That's when I got accustomed to the word. But I think, as I said, every woman is born a feminist, because I just don't know a woman who wouldn't want to fight in their own little corner. So that's how I got interested in like speaking on behalf of people, and then speaking in political terms. Our debate coach, his name was Mr. Busang when we were in Lozani Senior. So he used to take us to a debate, not competitive debate though, to take us to this Botswana Trade Union, like when they had their congresses, he would take us to maybe do a debate demo for the first 15 minutes into the Congress. So that's how I got interested in like active politics. Or okay, this is what trade unions do. what do political parties do? So that's how I really got interested. And then when I was doing my first year at the University of Lausanne, I think that was in 2014, a lot of people from my debate team were already in the university, and most of them were actively in politics. So because I didn't know anyone, remember, I just a village girl from Lausanne, I think it was my first time in Gaborone when I first came to the University of Lausanne. So when I went there, most of the people from the debate team, Nikiti Bonhela from UB, so I would walk around with them when I'm not in class during the weekends. We still continued with our debate work, so most of the weekends we're out in debate training, maybe go to GSS, Nanokang, and facilitate training workshops for the school kids there. So my other two friends were in the SRC when I was doing first year. So because I was always with them, learning a lot of stuff, how do I contest for elections, how many women, I think there were 13 portfolios in SRC, so how many women are in SRC? There were only 2, sometimes 1. So I thought, maybe this politics thing isn't for women in any way. So I challenged myself that when I was doing my second semester of first year, I challenged myself that I was going to contest for elections. So, you know how people treated me, I think people thought I was being wayward. Remember, for starters, I was only a first year student. It was my first time in the university, and already at first year I wanted to contest for elections, and I was a woman. And people were like, okay, maybe let's give her a useless, I would say useless portfolio. They gave me information and publicity. So information and publicity, your responsibilities is releasing communications. Whenever there is an issue, there are no student allowances. The management is unhappy about something, so you have to write a communique to the students and distribute it in that manner. So because there is social media, people use social media to communicate. Nobody knew what I was doing. Like, I was just there, I was part of the SRC, but I had nothing really to do. And you know how, I think there were 2, out of 13 portfolios, there were two young women, a friend of mine called Katleo. She was also in the SRC with me. So when there were important issues to discuss, we were always being excluded. I remember the other time, they only called us because they wanted us to organize Miss UB. I'm not even into pageantry. I don't like it at all. And because I'm a woman, they found it fit to only invite me for stuff like that. Probably how only this stolo in front of the classes during the day when people are not in class. So they will usually tell me, no, you can go sit by the stall and tell the students what the SRC is about. I would never be invited to any meeting with the Vice Chancellor or any meeting with the senior management, not even to go to DTF with them to go and question why the student didn't get their book allowance this semester. So I think, and I don't blame them, because where they grew up, that's what they were taught. Or you can only accept a woman to a certain extent in leadership, but to a point where she tries to be your equal or tries to be something more than you, you can't accept that. She has to be always beneath you. So even the women, I always tell people what sometimes people tell you this narrative. There's this narrative that women don't vote for each other, and people tend to want to pin it down on women and say it's because women are jealous of each other, they want to kill each other. No, there's nothing like that. We are also victims of the patriarchal society, because equally, we were raised up to believe, not to believe in our own leadership. If they want to end the patriarchal society, they can do it any minute, but not because of historical disadvantages that we have. We're still in a bad space to do that. And then when I was in third year, I wanted to contest for presidency. So I told my male friends that I came from Lausanne with, I want to contest for presidency. And the first thing they did was they laughed. I thought but they were damn serious because it meant that are you serious? Who the hell do you think you are? I mean, this has never happened since the university has been open since, when was it, 1976. We have never had an SRC president who's a young woman. So what are you trying to do? So I slept on it, and then the next day, because it really hurt me, the next day I told them that I was joking, just to shed it off and make conversations less awkward. And then our friendship went back to where it was. Nothing was awkward. So I was like, okay, then maybe the problem is my interest in trying to be the president or trying to contest for presidency. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't let myself down like that. So I put in my name again for presidency. And funny enough, no one was contesting for the president apart from me. And then instead of just letting me contest for presidency on my own, the committee had to extend the meeting, like cut the meeting short and then say, let's meet on Friday. And to me, the intention was to go and recruit someone, preferably the male favorite, to come and contest for the presidency against me. So I didn't give up. I didn't withdraw my name from that. Friday came, and then there was still no one to contest for presidency apart from me. And then they finally gave in, and then I was supposed to contest for presidency that year. And then unfortunately, there was a student strike at the University of Botswana. I think it was 2016, second semester, just before the SRC elections. I remember it started off as a very small thing, and students got really fed up. And then eventually, there was a student strike, like a fully blown strike where buildings were burnt. I was at the forefront of this, and I got suspended from school for 2 academic years. I couldn't contest for elections, for SRC elections, so they had to find a replacement. My dad couldn't understand, what are you doing? What is this thing I learned about you burning buildings at the university when you're supposed to be home? He told me, I should make a decision whether I want to be a man or want to be a woman because of my involvement in politics. And because it didn't affect me that much. Mama Lene probably said the same thing behind my back, but acted as if though she's fine with my activism in politics. And then my sister Lene, you could tell she had something to say to me, but she didn't want to make me sad because she was literally the only person I had. Because everyone was like, we sent you to go to school, and when you come back with a 2-year suspension, you don't even have your degree, you don't even have your sponsorship. Where am I going to get 30,000 per semester to pay for your fees? And at some point, Papa because his assumption was I was sent by someone from outside politics to come and do whatever I did in school. So at some point he asked me, would they be able to pay for your school fees? That kind of conversation. I was like, no one sent me. It's just something within me. I just can't stay back and look at injustice. I came back to school. That was in 2019, and then finished my degree then. There was no problem, not much. I was no longer interested in the presidency because I felt I've had my chance. So I don't like, it's either go big or go home kind of situation for me. So if I don't make it now, I don't think I'm going to try it again. I'm probably going to try something more bigger than what I've tried. So that year I contested for Botswana National Front Women's League Secretary General. So as usual, people told me I couldn't do it because, there's this narrative that there's a difference between elderly women and younger women. There's a gap between these women because it's not how probably Manasha or Mashilato Babonandi Lokate. Even the implementation, our implementation wouldn't be the same, obviously, because of the age gap. So But when it came Netsidi Topolibone from the Botswana National Front Women's League, were elderly women. I think averagely they would range around 57 or so. So I was the youngest ever to contest for the Women's League, more Botswana National Front, because people have been thinking Women's League is reserved only for elderly women, and that's how they exclude younger women from the conversation. I also didn't have anyone contesting against me, funny enough, and then I automatically joined the Women's League. And then the problem I had was most of the communication was supposed to come from me as the Secretary General. Most of the interviews, online interviews, radio interviews, press conferences around any issues of national concern were supposed to be done by me. And because of perspective, age, we couldn't look at things the same. I remember a member of the Botswana National Front, I don't think it's important for me to mention his name here, was accused of rape. So now, because I know how I'm supposed to deal with this, I wanted to write a communication letter, or you know what, the entire party should disassociate itself from this person. He should probably get a suspension. And the elderly women were like, no, we can't do that. This person is a member of our party. So what do you expect us to do? No, this person is innocent until proven guilty. So there was always a difference between. I remember they would call me, can I do this on Facebook? I don't think Ornarvata associate as Botswana National Front Women's League associate such stuff. Please don't talk about sex work. Please don't talk about abortion. Please don't talk about this, don't talk about that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm not your age. I mean, I won't be angry at you because you don't understand why people go into sex work or why people have abortions. The least I can do is try and explain to you, because Linda, my parent doesn't understand sex work, or worry, my parents don't understand issue of abortion. So it's our duty as young people, as young women, to sit these people down and make them unlearn a lot of stuff. Because no one was born against abortion, no one was born against sex work, no one was born against the LGBTQI community. So it's just things they learned. Politics is a space of making names for yourself. It's a space of legacies. So if you're an elderly woman and you have been working on your legacy for 15 years now, and a 25-year-old comes and talks about abortion, and then no one no longer mentions your name, I think it's a very hard thing to accept. It's very rare for you to find a woman from BCP praising a woman from BDP. For one, because of the competitiveness of the space. And most of the time, they're usually at the forefront of making these tensions. Because you know what men do? Men can go to parliament, till my BDP, my UDC, and then be at each other's necks the entire day. And then when they're done doing that, in the evening, they're going to have a few drinks together and then tell you, when I Resego, a certain so-and-so from BDP, a woman from BDP dresses better than you, she speaks better than you should pick yourself up. Or the elections are 2019. That was linked 2 years back. It's been a while. 2019. So I'm a member of the Botswana National Front, which automatically makes me a member of the UDC, the coalition opposition. So there was a time when there was a selection for the manifesto team. I think most of them nearly expert, like you wouldn't just find a random person. Students, because I was still a student at that time, were scribes. So we just go join the manifesto team when they do that thing, and then listen to the issues they're talking about, make some notes for them. More manifesto team, it was a team of 26. There were 4 women out of 26. I think it was me, Dr. Pego, Dr. Litsi, and Marapelang. So it was just for women. An expert of ours from the manifesto team, I think he dealt with the health sector, wasn't able to come through because he was always busy at the hospitals. So they told me, or maybe you should stand in for him today, because I always had the notes. So I made a very impressive presentation. I don't know anything about the health sector. I did ready what the problems of the health sector came, what are the possible solutions, so stuff like that. I managed to make a good presentation, and then they asked me if I could like take up the position forever until we present a solid manifesto. I was fine with that. And then I became like a consult with the contacts at an Peel. The final presentation was made in front of all the members of our parliament, our contesting members, and all the members that contested for council. So that was around 600 people in a room. So all along, people were listening to Dumela Salishando, people were listening to Duma Boko, people were listening to Dr. Chimbombi, to Dr. Tseko, to Muzamai, to Yandani Boko. Everyone who was taking the stage as a male person was being listened to. But when it was my turn, everyone and then, but what I like reading a lot into stuff. People had been concentrating, and it was just before 10, so you couldn't say or anything like that. I think it was just disrespect going through their throats. You know what? Who's this young girl? Firstly, high parliament, high councillor. She's not finished in school yet. She's not an expert of anything. So why the hell is she making a presentation about the health sector? And funny enough, the same thing happened for Dr. Peko, because I thought maybe she's an expert, psychology. I thought they would give her the respect she deserves. They would ask very wayward questions. Like, why do you think I can't come up with this on my own? It was really an unfair situation for all of us. Laharia, the political rally towards 2019 general elections, speaker 6 for a launch rally, let's say in Gaborone, Bonington South, there will be 6 speakers and 1 woman. And what they usually do is they allocate themselves for no, you are going to talk about the mining sector. When I and Danny Boko, please address education. And when as a woman, when you come, hello, they want you to address issues of abortion, issues of teenage pregnancy, the health sector. I want to talk about the economy. Why are you skewing down my issues for certain issues in society that are only I mean, of course, Rona, as women, we have lived experiences about both sex work, about child health care, about a lot of issues, but that doesn't mean we exclusively want to talk about issues around sex work, issues around abortion. I want to talk about the economy, I want to talk about industrialization, I want to talk about a lot of things that are only, people think they only deserve to be talked by men. So at some point, I think the manifesto launch, I was supposed to speak a manifesto launch, but I didn't, because Horateng had built so much anger in me. Nearly a briefing room, no, you can't do this to me. Please ask the Tabe to talk about child health care, because he was also in the lineup. Ask Dumela Sarishan to talk about child health care, because now I'm not going to do that. They didn't agree, and I didn't speak at that rally. There was no woman who was representing the political rally. And then fast forward to that, launch Duma Boko, the president Duma Boko. It was the last launch. I was the only woman who was on the lineup yet. So before the launch rally, Nirnali briefing or who's going to talk about what again, as we usually do. I'm not going to talk about whatever you guys want me to talk about. Luena only whoever only I would like to use example because he was my lecturer in first year. Why can't you talk about maternal death? Because it's not something you need to experience to know. Something you read about, especially as a member of parliament. I expect you to know these things from from your fingertips. So what they told me, no, it's fine, you can talk about whatever you want. So I spoke about fourth industrial revolutions. I spoke about how we need to give tablets to learners and how that will improve our industrialization. The very last speaker was the President Bok. The sanitary pairs and all the other issues. We have so many unresolved issues that are a result of not having a code of conduct, mod congressing or wherever we meet. People address you inappropriately in a political setup, and unfortunately you have nowhere to report to. For instance, in a friend of mine to a capacity building leadership forum. It's a National Front Leadership Forum. So what happened there was the structure of the party, the Central Committee, Youth League, Women's League, Regional Committee, whatever leadership position you were supposed to attend the leadership forum. So I was coming with a friend of mine. I was driving with Owe to Mushup. So when we got there, a very elderly man who didn't even know me, asked Owe, so when we did this Stoko, I think it's a very, I don't know what it means even up to now, but I think it's a very derogatory name. Yeah, Moto delaying Hela to have some sort of sexual fun, I don't know. Who's not there for the main business of the day. But I just we went on with the leadership forum. I made a presentation. But at the end, for any other business, I raise my hand up. Guys, we need to have a code of conduct. Because for us to in a political gathering, I think Nigeria is an abomination. You don't do that. In political setup, they would call each other comrade. But how they would refer to you as Muhazak. What is Muhazak in a political setup? Someone rubbed you the wrong way, you didn't like it, it's none of their business. That's why even when people go to police stations, reporter, someone touched my butt, and then political parties are like, we have more serious stuff to deal with. You can't come here and tell us that. So the political space is very, very corrosive for women in politics, especially young women, because we're very vulnerable. They have some level of respect they give to elderly women in politics. The way people treat Manasha is not the way people treat me, because Manasha deserves some level of respect because she's an elderly woman in politics. But now on the other hand, people don't give me that respect. And the other problem for young women in politics is sometimes you are stuck in between belonging to two different groups. Sometimes you want to be a woman, but it's only elderly women. There's no space for young women. And then people think the default of youth means a young male. So you don't have space. For instance, when I ran for the presidency of the Youth League, most people don't identify with my lobby because can be women's league. Women's league. But I'm a 25-year-old young woman. More you think I'm also part of the youth one. So that's the struggle here in Leone. You don't know whether to identify yourself as a young woman. When you identify yourself as a woman, you deal a lot of age different stuff. When you go to the youth side, it's predominantly male. The youth league a male space. So that's how generally politics is. The relationship between politics and your other relationships. This time, I mean, like intimate relationships, boyfriend, girlfriends. It's a very difficult thing to navigate. Because for instance, when I had a boyfriend, that was in 2017, when I call him out for the wrong stuff he does, if he genuinely knows what he's wrong, his reasoning will be when I can also hold politics so you can bully me around. Relationship not intimate relationships, like with your family, it becomes very, very different. They exclude me in most of the conversations because now I've told my grandma, please stop asking me about babies. Why can't you ask me about my degree? Why can't you ask me? If I loved babies, it wouldn't be wrong for you to ask me about babies. Me don't liking babies doesn't have anything to do with my activism. Last year, 2020, around September. So the gender-based violence cases were like on the rapid. You get, on average, documented cases, you get around 6 every day. But at that time, last year, September, it was bad. You would get like 21 cases a day. 2 people have been raped in Letlhakane. A person has been killed in Molepulle. A woman's head has been found in Trukweng. And it was really bad. And our government was just quiet. You would get government officials saying, no, let's cycle for gender-based violence. We don't need people to cycle against gender-based violence. We need economic policies that will deal with the economic disparities between men and women. And then we need to deal with our behavior as society. If I go and report my uncle for rape, it's not a family issue, that's a criminal issue. Like it really made me sad. And then I made a figurative statement because it was figurative. Or you know what, if anything doesn't change, if the government doesn't change its approach to issues of gender-based violence, we might as well burn down these buildings. We might as well shut down the roads, do everything in our capacity to get the government's attention. So, personally, I don't have the capacity to burn government buildings. It takes a lot to do that. I don't have the capacity to cause a traffic jam. You also need a lot of logistics to do that. But in any case, the government didn't listen to that. They took me to a holding cell, spent a night there, and then they've opened the case against me. Thinking, common nuisance or something. So, yeah, for my first appearance, and go for holding selling. It's a totally different scenario. Kana, you would expect for how is you selling wobo zahore. For bomb, I think it should be standard procedure. Or are you on your period? Because who knows? I might need sanitary pads while in a holding cell. This one, I don't think it applies for our mekanor. Are you taking any medication? Because I might be on some sort of medication that I need to take. But unfortunately enough, they didn't ask me those questions. Whether I was on a period, it was none of their business. Share one blanket with 7 other people. There's a small line, I don't know if I should call it culvert, that runs urine from the male side down to the women's side. It's a terrible sight. After 6 hours, you are counted. It doesn't. I think, I don't know how other countries do it, but I think I would call them prisoners. Women prisoners should be handled maybe by women wardens or something like that. I don't know if other countries do that. But unfortunately enough for Botswana, they don't do that. So when you are a political activist, they treat you differently from the rest of the guys. So now because of my political activism, they just thought what I was going to give them a hard time in the holding cell. But I didn't, because I was a woman, as always. My family called me. Some people I don't even know, they said they were my father's cousins. Okay, you never called me to ask me if I'm okay in school, but now that I was in prison, you call me and tell me, Hore, who's going to marry you? Okay, who's going to marry me? I haven't even had a conversation with anyone about me wanting to get married in the first place. I was in the campaigns team, Yaha, Dr. Peg, Kohabron Central. So, the questions anybody Moza, I don't think they ever really ask the male candidates deposits in Sinya. For starters, they would want to know her educational background. You know how many people have degrees out of 65 members of parliament? It's only 17 of them. And my parliament, parliament, they are male, they are men. Degree. But if it's a woman candidate, people want to know where did she study. Probably even go down to Roseni Krashika. That's how deep it is. They would want to know stuff like that. They want to know your marital status. Or is she married? Is she divorced? Does she have kids? But if you are a male candidate, no one cares about your marital status. Whether you are married, that's none of anyone's business. They just want to share your ideas. But if it's a woman candidate, then it's a totally different space altogether. They want to know, does she smile when she talks to people? Have you ever seen a man smile, mood housing? No. But because when you are a woman candidate, you're expected to smile, to be very friendly with everyone you meet. And some of the people we meet, mood housing, they are very abusive. You have to tolerate a lot of nonsense from voters just because you want them to vote for you. You could go to someone's house, tell them about their manifesto, tell them why it's important to vote the BDP out after 55 years of misrule. After that, it's very abusive. It's a very abusive environment, daughter. So I even say, Mpanambarago doesn't mean I want to know more about the UDC manifesto. It means it's fine. But I have my own business I want to talk to you about. In every little aspect of it, even in preparation of the rally held, the way people when you prepare for a political event, you'd find that most of the men keep on the financing of that event. Even if the money is not from their own pockets, party, but because finances are very important, they're supposed to be handled by men. That's a very delicate issue. You can't give money to a woman. So issues about funding, who's going to fund the stage, who's going to fund the lighting, who's going to organize the most important critical parts of a launch rally. I only given Matsila Sanzoran the president still we have 4 people in the top tables. I'm looking at that the juice. It's very disrespectful things. I mean, if I'm a woman and I'm into catering, organize. There's no problem with me doing that. I want to do this. But if people allocate that specific job to me because of it's in some sort of way feeding into misogyny and the patriarchal society. Because Rona reba putitante, reba reputandi dilo, reba rapa ya mudirali. And homo, it's not like hosimula mo politiki. Even from our upbringing, hela kumalapeng kortsante, ha rona lenyalo, bo mmeki batho ba dunya tse ditshesane, nya tsa mollo ira disalad. The men handle bo magadi, bo tluang le madi and other solid things there. So it's just how we are raised up. When was this? 2001. I was doing stand 1 in 2001. And I think Papa Nilo Hana, I guess I had a degree or his master's, but and Eli Mama at that time, they were both at the University of Botswana. So all of us stayed with my grandmother. So my grandmother and grandfather, they never have a lima. So they would only come and check on us once in a while. My sister was the eldest of all of us. But still, because we had younger brothers, my grandmother used to show our younger brothers were responsible for protecting us. Even her, she would give Maji to our younger brother or born. You know what to do. But my sister is there, she's the eldest. Why can't she be given the money or the responsibility to do that on account that she's the eldest of all of us? But no, because she was what? She was a young girl. So she didn't know anything about money. It wasn't her concern. National Front. I want to be the president someday. I think when I'm a president, President Boko, there's going to be someone after Boko, I think in 5 years. After this person, then I'm definitely going for it. For the women who are going to come in activism after me. Because I want them to look at my life and say, this is who she was. She paved a way for us. Because Lina, there are certain women I look up to. For instance, Hela, I think everyone looks up to Rosa Parks. Because I read a book on Rosa Parks Maloba. Men around her, after that bus boycott stuff, men around her wanted to dismiss her. For no, the reason why you sat down and didn't agree to stand up from that seat is because you were tired. You were from work and you were just tired. Black men telling her, no, you were just tired because they wanted to dim down her light. And she was like, no, I was tired, but I wasn't physically tired. I was mentally tired from being colonized mentally in my own country. So sometimes men want to call you a spark when you know deep down to have fire. And the moment you answer to being called a spark, then the fire in you goes down. Because when you answer to being called a spark, you can be vice president and not be president. There comes a spark and then there comes a fire. So if you allow yourself to be called a spark, it means there will always be someone, there will always be that fire. So don't answer to people calling you a spark. When someone offers you a position in a competitive political space, I want you to be vice president, you need to ask them who's president. And they need to give you reasons why that person is taking the seat over you. You know what? Sometimes men, divide and rule. We are quite sure all the other women will be quiet. It doesn't have to be like that. You need to ask questions. Don't respond to people calling you something you're not. Now people call me I'm disrespectful. My parents will tell you, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm the most respectful person you can see. People are very, very surprised. In totally different spaces out of politics. Like minding my own business. I only talk. I injustice. I need to occupy the space. So you don't respond to people who want to trim you down. You rather let them choke, but don't cut yourself down to the level they want you to be.